All right, hello all. I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to go over again what I talked about in class, just in case you guys didn't pick it up. In your programs, you can set the values of the arg string in order to input values that you might want to use for testing over and over and over again. So just to show an example of how you might want to use this, like in your first program, project 1, you have to take in some input from the user. So we set up a scanner class, call scanner in and make the new scanner, and then make string s equal to in.next. That's how you take a string in from that scanner. And if you run this, you see that I can type in hello, and then it takes that, it sets hello, s equal to hello, and then it prints out s, which is hello, which is what happens right here. But there's another way you can do this. If you want to have, you guys are going to have long strings that you're going to be testing to make sure that everything works well. Like full sentences and multiple sentences. So what you can do is, instead of having to type that in every time using this, you can comment this out and say string s is equal to, and you can use that args array up here. You can set args 0. So what that means is that the first string that you put into this args array, which is at the 0 index, it is now taking that and applying it to s, and then we're going to print it out. So how do you use this? Well, like I showed in class, the way you use this is by going up to your class that you've created, right-click on the class and go down to Run As, and go to Run Configurations. In here, you'll see a tab that's the Arguments tab. So in this box is where you can type in your arguments. So if you type in, this is a test string, just like that, that is going to take this information and put it into the args array, and then you can use all the indexes in that args array. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this right now. What you're going to see is not what you would normally expect. So if I run this, the only thing that pops out is this, and that's because that's the first word in that sentence. And what it does is it takes that sentence and parses it every time it sees a space, basically just like your program is supposed to do. It parses that and only grabs the this. If you were to put in 1, you would get the is, because that's the second word in the sentence. So in your guys' project, what you're going to want to do is grab the whole sentence. So the way you do that is run configurations, is put a set of double quotes around the whole thing. And what that'll do is grab the whole thing as a full string. Oops. Oh, that's because I don't have a 1 anymore. Let's put that back to 0. Because now that it has quotes around it, it takes that whole thing and puts it into the 0 spot of the args array, which now means that nothing got put into the 1 index of the args array. So that's why we got that error running it. So now if I print out args at 0, you'll see I now have the whole entire sentence. So if you want to test multiple things and have the ability to test multiple different inputs without having to type them in all the time, you can just put in another argument that you might want, like this is another text string. Like that, right? So what that will allow you to do, you're going to get the same output here. But if you want to, you can now have different lines of code. You can say string s is equal to, or you can change the, I would just do the same thing, is equal to args at 1. Right? And you notice you're getting an error here because you're declaring string s twice. So you can just, pick which one you want to test and comment out the ones that you don't want to be using. So in this case, we're going to comment out that line. So it is no longer taken from args 0, it's now taken from args 1. So in this case, if I run it, we have 2 things coming in, one into args 0, one into args 1. We're grabbing the one out of args 1, setting it to equal to string s, and then we're printing out s. So in this one, we should have it print out here, this is another text string. One last thing I wanted to add is that before you hand this in, make sure you put the code back to the way it was. So you can leave all the code with the arg stuff in there. Just make sure that you comment it out and you uncomment the actual line that that you need in order for it to run correctly on Zybooks or wherever you actually want the program to run. Going back to using the scanner next. So uncomment out the arg stuff and uncomment that. So. Contact me if you have any questions about this. But yeah, that is the way you use the args array. And like I said in the on our code chat room, I kind of said like how you can use this for your current project to do some testing. So that's about it. Contact me if you have any questions. Thanks.